Tokyo has just hit a new high in COVID-19 cases. As of today. I guess it's a really good thing for us here in the middle of this pandemic that there is nothing going on in Tokyo right now that would warrant our concern. Oh shit. 2 athletes, 12 security staff test positive for COVID-19. 2 athletes, including a Dutch tennis player and 12 security staff for the games, have tested positive for the coronavirus. GG News agency reported on Tuesday. All right, that's all the Reuters article has at the moment. They are not the only athletes to test positive. I was hoping it would give like a running count of the athletes that have tested positive so far and the people in their bubble. Here, let's watch this little piece here.
Tokyo Olympics organizers reported 7 new games-related COVID-19 cases, including 2 athletes on Tuesday. Local news reported an Olympic tennis player from the Netherlands and 12 game security staff have tested positive for the coronavirus. That's despite setting up a bubble system at the Tokyo Games Village, where around 11,000 people are staying. It includes testing at the facility's border. The total count in the village since July 1st is 155 cases. Tropical storm Nepartak, hovering around Japan's east coast, is another headache for organizers.
By the way, that's something I haven't had a chance to get into just because, like, the fucking news. There's so much news coming at us. I wanted to show the fucking wow videos from China and Germany of the flooding. That side of the world getting hit by just monster floods. Over here in America, we're in a sweltering heat wave right now. It's supposed to get up to like 107 or 109 tomorrow? God damn.
Wind and rain near Tokyo Bay delayed the start of the women's triathlon early in the morning and also disrupted surfing, rowing, and archery medal events. Tokyo is forecast to receive nearly 1.5 inches of rain over the next 24 hours.
Oh, wow.
According to the Japan Meteorological Agency. Although facing delays, athletes could welcome a slight break from the extreme heat that had earlier caused an Olympic archer to collapse.
God damn. Well, at least they're not hot over there. Unfortunately, though, all the COVID cases and shit, that's not the only controversy surrounding the Olympics. Apparently, I don't watch sports. I don't keep up with the Olympics. To me, the Olympics is nothing but a collection of sports that nobody would pay to watch individually. That's probably demeaning, and I shouldn't say that. I don't watch them when they bunch them together either. But I've got respect for the athletes. You know, apparently, fucking Simone Biles has had just bullshit thrown at her the entire time. I don't know the whole story. I can't tell you for sure, but apparently they wanted to judge her differently to try to level the playing field. They accused her of causing other competitors to attempt dangerous moves or some shit. Like, what the fuck? Just let the woman go out and dominate. That's what sports are for. I don't get it. Why do people have their dicks hard about this woman? I've seen many people say that she is the greatest gymnast of all time. I assume that's a fact. I have actually seen some of her routines. She is incredibly amazing. She has dropped out, apparently. I do not know the circumstances. She says that it was a mental health issue. This was her comments after dropping out of the games.
No, no injury, thankfully, and that's why I took a step back because I didn't want to do something silly out there and get injured. So I thought it was best if these girls took over and did the rest of the job, which they absolutely did. They're Olympic silver medalists now, and they should be really proud of themselves for how well they did last minute having to go in. And it's been really stressful, this Olympic Games, I think, just as a whole, not having an audience.
I bet with all the COVID shit and the delay and then all the extra pressure that they have shoveled on you, ma'am, I am sorry for all the bullshit. And you're not the only athlete getting bullshit in the media. We're going to get into that too.
There are a lot of different variables going into it. It's been a long week. It's been a long Olympic process. It's been a long year. So just a lot of different variables, and I think we're just a little bit
And people there at the games are going to come out of it with long COVID?
too stressed out, but we should be out here having fun, and sometimes that's not the case. I just felt like it would be a little bit better to take a back seat, work on my mindfulness, and I knew that the girls would do an absolutely great job, and I didn't want to risk the team a medal for kind of my screw-ups because they've worked way too hard for that. So I just decided that those girls need to go in and do the rest of the competition.
The question.
Yeah, we're going to take it a day at a time. I know tomorrow that we have a half day, or at least the morning off. So it'll be a good mental rest, and so we'll take it from there.
Struggling with mental health issues?
Yeah, I say put mental health first, because if you don't, then you're not going to enjoy your sport, and you're not going to compete as much as you want to. So it's okay sometimes to even sit out the big competitions to focus on yourself, because it shows how strong of a competitor and person that you really are, rather than just battle through it.
Hell yeah.
It was definitely something that was unexpected. We were kind of emotional when we found out that she wasn't going to continue, and we all just had to put our minds in a great position, because at the end of the day we were just out there to show what we needed to show, and we went up and did what we did, and I'm just very proud that we were able to do that.
Well, congratulations. Apparently they won a silver medal. I guess that's good or something. I don't know. I'm just playing. I know what a silver medal means. I can't say silver medal means. Non-binary skateboarder makes Olympics history and is misgendered while doing it. Well, fuck, that sucks. I am so sorry to you, Alana Smith of Team United States. Skateboarder Alana Smith made history as the first openly non-binary athlete to compete for Team USA at the Olympics, but their landmark moment was marred by misgendering from commentators. Smith competed in the women's skateboarding street event on Sunday and even had their pronouns etched onto their skateboard. But sports commentators, including Todd Harris and Paul Zitzer for NBC Sports in the U.S. and Mark Churchill and Ed Lay for the BBC in the U.K., referred to Smith with the wrong pronouns throughout, much to the disappointment of the LGBT plus fans. A U.S.-based trans journalist called it journalistic malpractice. No one should have to be misgendered on an international stage like this, according to Brittany de la Cretaz. Shout out to Alana Smith, the first openly non-binary athlete to represent the U.S. in an Olympic Games. Indeed, shout out. In the UK, Olympic fans noted that the BBC commentary kept misgendering Smith even when other countries' commentators had corrected themselves. Americans were having trouble at first, but seemed to have gotten it together, one Twitter fan wrote. BBC still hasn't. Yes, they should at least try to use the correct pronouns. Now, Alana Smith said that gender doesn't matter. This profile on the Olympics website notes they are non-binary and use the pronouns they, them. and uses the correct pronouns for them throughout their profile. However, at the top of that page, Smith's gender is listed as female. Smith previously told USA Skateboarding, "I don't want to be known as a good female skateboarder. I just want to be known as a good skater, someone that made a difference. Gender shouldn't matter." Now, why in skateboarding would why divide skateboarding into men's and women's? That doesn't make any fucking sense to me. So here's a example of it.
Nervous times for Pamela Holzer, Alana Smith. Well, she's tried it 3 times.
No, they. No.
Nervous times for.
Fans continue to point out the mistakes made by BBC commentators. When it came to Smith's pronouns, their colleagues, BBC sports reporter Tim Warwood, weighed in. "I'm sure the boys would, of course, apologize to Alana." He added, "I hadn't seen anything regarding gender, and I'm 100% sure they hadn't either, hence the mistake." Alana Smith competed in the preliminary rounds on Sunday, but did not qualify for the finals. Well, congratulations for getting to compete. That's awesome. But hey, apparently we shouldn't be watching the Olympics. They're anti-American. They're too woke. Hear what Fox News has to say about the Olympic athletes.
Joining me now for a reaction, James Golden, known popularly as Bo Snerdley of the Rush Limbaugh Show. He is a radio host at 77 WABC here in New York. And of course, you can hear him nationally with the magic of that invention called the internet. James, welcome aboard. Nice to see you again, sir.
Tammy, thank you for having me on. Great to be with you. And wow.
Who is this woman?
You have covered the state of America in a way that I think needs tremendous attention.
I have to say, sports, what's really important about sports, all of us understand this, is the nature that it shows us that, you can lose a battle and win the war, right? That is a key life lesson about sports, that there's going to be ups and downs. And so I would fully hope and expect that Team USA comes back. But what do you think of my premise, that this is like a microcosm of the attitude that is permeating everywhere here? We see it in sports, we see it with the Olympics, but it affects our home life. It affects business. We saw with the poll, it affects the optimism for the future. Where do you think this is headed, and what can we do about it?
Now, Tammy, normally I would say to you, okay, I'm not buying it because athletes are so competitive and they're worried about their own competitive state and their own achievement, that they wouldn't let these kind of things hurt them. But then again, look at what they are being competitive with now. The competition isn't about being the very best that you can be on the athletic field.
I want to point out they are showing pictures of the soccer team. Apparently, I don't know anything about sports. Apparently, the soccer team, the women's U.S. soccer team, is like the greatest women's soccer team ever. Like, ever. So, and just this is just one loss. Apparently, they dominate almost all the time. But now, Vox, this is one of those things where you learn about this in statistics, right? So, like, you're always, there's this thing like, you're thinking to somebody and then they call and you're like, oh, wow, that couldn't have been a coincidence, right? But it's because, like, you're only thinking about a handful of people and you're not thinking about all the times that, you weren't thinking about the person they called, or that you were thinking about them and they didn't call. You put emphasis on the one time that you were thinking about them and they called. They're making that same fallacy, right? So they're saying that the wokeness cost the soccer team, when in reality, they've been woke for years and they've been dominating. But Fox News never came out and said, oh, they're dominating because they're woke.
Competition seems to be about being the best you can for the media. Being the
Not
best
high enough for this shit.
so that you can have your face on the media proving how woke you are. Do you remember when the Olympics were fun? When athletes used to show up, we used to
Remember when the Olympics were fun, that they weren't just a mass fucking genocide? A mass spreader event that's going to result in a die-off of people all around it? Remember? Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Marvel at their performances, marvel at their individual achievement. Today, the news stories aren't about their achievements. The news stories are about everything but their achievements.
You people are the ones talking about that shit. Fox News is the one reporting on the culture wars. If you think there's a problem and you want to talk about their achievements, fucking praise them for their achievements instead of talking about the culture war. But no, that's what your fans want. That's what makes you the money. That's what sells advertising on your show. You're full of shit. You want the culture war because you've got no policy to talk about, sir.
I do see one bright spot in all this, though, something I do support. And that is the number of women in the Olympics that finally are saying...
And it's apparently not free fucking speech. It's not free fucking speech. You anti-cancel culture warriors apparently want to cancel Olympic athletes because they didn't say what you wanted them to say. Fuck.
Hey, we've had enough being objects for you guys to look at with the little bikinis with our butts hanging out.
Yeah.
We want to play sports, and we want to do so in a manner that we think is dignified. And I support that.
Wait a minute. Wasn't that like that had nothing to do with the Olympics, wasn't it? Like that was just a volleyball team in like Norway or some shit? Which I agree. Didn't the Olympics say that one woman's shorts were... No, how was it? Yeah, they said her shorts were too long or some shit. They've really been wanting to police women's attire.
Wholeheartedly.
You see, and that's a great point. I know that the German team has also changed its uniform entirely, but that speaks to the individual's desire to be more powerful in the implementation of their sport, either through the team or as an individual. But when you've got coaches that have, like Popovich, who's been speaking very openly about hating the country effectively, how can you move forward in anything you do if misery and resentment cloud your mind when competing can be about pride for a company, pride for the country?
I don't understand how you people are the ones that hate the country when all you do is bitch and complain. If bitching and complaining determines who hates the country, you guys win the Olympic fucking medal. Not you two specifically. I've never seen you two chuckle fucks before. Either of you.
And if you think America's really this bad, why would you be compelled to do better? And then, James, the difference between perhaps teammates who might not feel the way you do and the danger these days about not agreeing on a political issue.
Right.
Wait. So she feels that the woke athletes should self-censor themselves in order to be concerned about the feelings of the other athletes on the team that may not agree with them because of free speech. What sort of fucking pretzel logic was that?
Then, James, the difference between perhaps teammates who might not feel the way you do and the danger these days about not agreeing on a political issue.
Right, the resentment that comes inside a team. And now you're wondering what your teammates think of you if you are pro-American. Imagine that. And so here's what we're left with.
You people aren't pro-American. You like to wrap yourselves in the flag and then act like nothing you do can be criticized. You fucking pieces of shit.
It's going to affect the way that you do.
Right-wingers are morons.
Are the most highly tuned athletes in the world. And look what is put before them, before they are on the world stage. It's a shame. And you know what else is a shame, Tammy? It's a shame that when the women's soccer team lost, there were many in America who said good. They deserve to.
They're on your side. Your side said good. They lost. And like the irony of this fat fuck, and I don't want to shame somebody for their appearance is fat fuck talking about finely tuned athletes. Holy shit. I just want to point that out. Like, I would have never mentioned his weight if he wasn't like, I'm going to give my opinion on these finely tuned athletes before I eat this fucking rack of ribs.
You know, this is what's difficult, and yet it has become, instead of bringing us together, we see it, of course, here at home with sports teams, it becomes this fight. And, you know, we can, already the ratings have indicated Americans, you know, we've lost this. And so I really thank you so much for your perspective, James. Great stuff as always. Thank you, sir. Great.
The ratings for everything have been down historically. That's what I saw them share out a post about the Olympics ratings this year. People are out partying because they think COVID is over. They aren't watching the fucking Olympics. And aren't the Olympics on in like the middle of the night or some shit? The Olympics start here in like a few hours or something. I'm sure that where they take place from in the world and what time they come on in the U.S. affects the U.S. ratings for the Olympics. Called a lurking variable in statistics.